It's 11:53 a.m. on the 12th of February 2026. I just barely woke up to Dante throwing up, and so I grabbed my phone basically as quick as I could, meaning I jumped right out of bed to get this while it's fresh. Look, okay, I'm not trying to show all of my room and everything, but last night I smacked and beat and kicked Dante after eating a chicken bone because I know the repercussions. Look how big that piece is. That's a piece of bone. Look at this end of it here, how sharp this is. If Dante weren't to have just thrown this up within the past 5 minutes. And look, he's looking guilty. This was last night before he went to bed. He knows. My mom was really upset with me for how many times I hit him and how hard I made it such a point. I kept saying, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it. Now, even right now, his face, when I say it, leave it, he was turning his head. He knows what it means. I shoved his face in the garbage can. I held him up like this under my arm with his arms out of the way, and I shoved his face in the garbage can where he pulled the chicken bone from. And I made it such a point. So he knew I wanted it to be a huge experience for him. So he never got in the garbage can again. He knew what the words leave it meant. And he never, well, ideally ate chicken bones again is the point. The reason I was so upset, the reason I hit him so hard was for his own safety. I'm showing this because I don't think that's small enough to pass through him. I'm almost certain that's not going to break up with his digestive system before it tries to pass out of him. And so right now, it's about maybe 10 hours, give or take, after he ate it. It was after midnight last night. I wasn't right there with him. I was down the hall, and he was in the kitchen upstairs. He was on the tile. Look. This is why I smacked him and kicked him and punched him. And I'm owning up to it because I know the repercussions. I've been watching so many veterinarian shows for months. I've been watching them pull all sorts of dog toys and dog toys specifically for dogs. But anything out of dogs, dog bones, anyway, dogs just die because of their own actions, eating things that they can't digest. I knew it. I knew last night was needing to be as big as it was. I knew I didn't overreact with how I reacted toward this. I didn't know exactly how much bone he swallowed, how small the pieces were he chewed up, but I heard a crunching from the other room, and I came in there, and I hit him hard and a lot. I made a huge point of it, because I am almost certain this would not have passed from him. I don't have the money right now to pay for a vet bill. If this cut up Dante's insides and he had internal bleeding and died, it's just because he chewed on a chicken bone, pulling out of the garbage when he's not supposed to be in the garbage. Probably, even if he weren't to have bled out internally and died, I don't think this would have passed out of him that size. Potentially it could have, but that's big. And maybe he would have just stopped going to the bathroom for a few days, and then I'd have to go take him to the vet. It's not just about the money, it's about his health. It's just about this shouldn't happen in the first place. Anyway, yeah, he woke me up with it. And it's fine, it's way past the time a lot of people get up anyway, but what I'm saying is I just grabbed the phone right away so I could show it. Well, it's fresh. I've got to do what I can to clean off the carpet, which is fine. I was actually calling his name from my bed over there. Dante, 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 trying to get him a little closer because there's a blanket on the floor to protect the floor, but it doesn't reach all the way to right here. But And that's a big piece of chicken bone. I mean, I've got pretty big hands, being 6'2" tall, and that's a very sharp-edged piece of chicken bone. I've watched them pull rocks out of dogs on these shows, and all sorts of anything. And the point is, it happens every day all across the earth. Domesticated animals getting into things that will kill them if the vet doesn't go and surgically remove it. That's why I'm so stern. It's like having a baby. That's why I get so upset about certain things. That's why I feed him so intentionally, only out of his own bowl, and I soak all of his food in water before I feed it to him, no matter what it is, so it's softer. I break all of his food up into small pieces about the size of just a little piece of kibble, no matter what it is. Even something like chicken meat, I rip it into little small pieces because I don't want the possibility of him choking if I can do what I can do on my end of feeding him to not let him choke first. So about 10 hours later, he threw this up. And if he didn't, I don't know if it would have been able to physically pass through him without surgical intervention. They've got endoscopes. They can go in with a little claw. Sometimes, depending on how far whatever it is passed, down their digestive system, whatever they've swallowed. Sometimes, if it's not too far down in there, they can go in and pull it out through their mouth. It's still a surgical procedure under anesthesia, but it's not as invasive as cutting into their body with a knife. But those are basically the only options, is some type of surgical intervention like that through somebody's been trained to do it. And that's almost certainly what would have had to happen with this piece, being as big as it is, if he didn't just throw it up. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it was 2 or 3 a.m. even, so maybe it was about 8 hours later, somewhere probably right around 8 to 10 hours after, give or take, he threw it up. And if he wouldn't have, I don't know, either could kill him, or it could be a huge vet bill and an invasive surgery to him. Anyway, that's why I'm as stern as I am. Because I love him, and so I hit him. In times like this, to really teach him things that in the long run are going to save this from ever happening again, even though it's not that great of an experience for him to be hit, and I could get labeled as a bad, abusive owner. No, I knew what was happening. I knew why I was so upset, even though I did not see how much he swallowed. I saw the part of the bone that I put back into the garbage can, but that's a big piece. We put it right next to Dante. So here's my hand. That's all he threw up. I heard him, choking, coughing. He spit it up. So this is Dante. I mean, look at it compared to the size of his nose. That's what I'm saying. That's a big piece. Like, that passing through his body, I don't know if it would for sure. It's just a hard, sharp piece of bone. Look, he's still choking. Look. This is why I made the huge point that I did last night. There could be more bone in him. Maybe he ate a whole piece of bone, and it wasn't just this little end piece of this bone. I don't know. I didn't see it all happen. I heard it from the other room when I came running because I knew what can happen from it. I will not know for sure until days go by, after he's gone bowel movement enough times to where almost certainly anything he swallowed last night, which technically it was the 11th of February 2026, but it was past midnight, so I guess the work technically would go under the 12th, of February 2026. So until probably maybe 3 full days go by of bowel movement, I won't know for sure if there's any more bone in his body. I won't know for sure if he got a whole entire bone in him or not. But you can see him throwing up, well, trying to right now. This is why I had as harsh of a reaction as I did last night. And he's not just choking and throwing up because I hit him and his ribs are sore. He threw up a piece of bone. That's the point. Okay. I mean, this is why under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, we advocate for just about no treats ever, because you get your dog used to just being, first off, food motivated, and they'll become food motivated. But secondly, you get your dog used to just eating things that are not their food, given to them directly, specifically in their own bowl. They might eat anything off the ground that will kill them. It's really like having a baby for the entire life of the dog. You have to really be very careful, very watchful, very intentional if you want your dog to be able to have a healthy, safe, long life. They're domesticated animals. And especially cooked bones, they're just so fragile and sharp. Especially bird bones, because they're so thin to begin with. So, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't see all of it happen. All I know for sure is I heard the crunching, and if I didn't hear the crunching when he started chewing on bones, he could have chewed up an entire bone before I got in there, and then maybe the piece that I found, which, you know, was left, you know, was only some of what he was chewing on anyway. I really won't know until days from now go by. Probably till about the 15th of February, 2026. You know, if he stops going to the bathroom, I'm going to have to take him to a vet. Because he might be blocked up by a bone not being able to get through his whole digestive system because it gets caught and stuck on something. I mean, I have to take the amount of blame I have to take for not watching him as close as I could have. That's certainly the truth in the case. I was in the other room, but because he's a good boy, I told him to wait on the tile. I went into the other room where there's carpet, and he waited. He didn't get off the tile, but he went and got in the garbage can. Okay. Anyway. It's out of love, you know? I mean, I was terrified last night for his safety. That's why I disciplined him so hard. I'm really, really, really grateful. First off, that he threw it up, so that's not trying to pass through him, because maybe it wouldn't be able to. Oh my gosh. But also, I'm really, really grateful to be able to document this and show the truth of it. Like, it's not an overreaction. A lot of people will just feed their dog whatever and be like, it's just a dog. It can eat like this, you know, chicken bones. No. No. I mean, it can until it's its last time doing it, because it dies from, you know, that cutting up the inside of its body. Okay. You've got to basically treat your dog like babies. Don't baby your dogs, but treat them, you know, with a lot of care and almost protection, you know, if you will. I mean, yes, but it's seen with context. You just got to treat your dogs how we need to treat our dogs under our ownership, you know, as domesticated animals. Well, he's curled up. We'll see. And I spend just about 24 hours a day with Dante every single day. I mean, he goes everywhere with me. So I'll almost certainly catch it if he throws up any more of the bone, is the point. Right? Or if he throws up anything else, then maybe, you know, just because of the irritation in his digestive system from that sharp bone being in there. You know, the size of it's pretty sizable first off, just a hard thing to squeeze through. But then if it's that sharp, it's hard coming up as well. Oh my gosh. That's the problem. It's not only that he threw it up, so now it's okay. No, that sharp piece of bone had to travel back up his digestive system from as far as it got down in there, 8 or 10, give or take, hours ago. When he just barely threw it up, just minutes ago, it had to travel all the way back up his system. And that sharp bone could have ripped up all the insides of his body coming back up, as well as it could have going down. Well, as well as it did going down. Almost certainly, He's, you know, cut up to a degree, at least in his body there. That's a really sharp piece of bone. You get to see it if you watch this video. That's why I freaked out so much last night. I knew, I mean, I felt it in the spirit. Like, I didn't see it. I didn't see exactly what happened. You know, when I got in there, he was there with the bone on the tile, and I pulled the bone from him, and I went and threw it away, and then I smacked him, hit him, kicked him, punched him. I mean, I hit him hard. Full disclosure, full transparency, there you go. I did, but because I know the repercussions, I didn't physically hurt him, you know, like any kind of permanent damage. Scared him like crazy, and I mean, it hurts to get hit in the moment, but I just wanted to make a really big point so we can do all we can to avoid that ever happening again, because now he's dealing with the repercussions of it. The next morning, I mean, there is stuff you can do to feed your dog to make sure they throw up, meaning to induce throwing up, to do what you can to make sure they throw up is what I mean. And I mean, I could feed him something that'll make him throw up, or, you know, try to make him throw up is what I mean, yeah. To see if I can get everything out of there that I can, in case there's more pieces in there. Because the point is, my mom was eating chicken, which is fine. My mom threw chicken bones in the garbage, which is fine. But there was at least 3 full bones in the garbage. I don't know exactly how many, and I just don't know how much he ate. I don't know how long he was chewing on him before I caught him, and I don't know if everything's going to be able to pass through his body safely. So there you go. And you can see me pacing, you can see I'm worked up about it, because I love Dante. One mistake and they're dead. Your dog goes in the road once, gets hit by one car, and they're dead. Your dog eats something once that's sharp and causes internal bleeding to the point they bleed out, and they're dead. And you won't even know that. Your dog can be bleeding internally for hours, and you have no idea, maybe days, and they die, and you didn't even know. How could you know? You can't see inside their body, just with your eyes from outside of them. Okay. That's the point. That's why I'm so harsh. That's why I'm so bold about the things I'm bold about. There's reasons behind it. That's why I'm so strict on how we feed our dogs so properly, and only out of their own specific bowl, so they don't get used to eating anything else. So they know they're not supposed to eat anything from anywhere else except out of their own bowl. These are the reasons why I'm so strict about these feeding things that we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. I want Dante for 12 plus years. He's only coming up on right around 2 years old, being the rescue that he is from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. I don't know his exact age, but I'm pretty well certain I've got at least 12 years with him. But not if he dies from something like this, that we can do what we can do to avoid through training. Okay. A good kind of avoid, you know. Meaning, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, gratitude. To be able to document this is a teaching moment for anybody who ever sees this video ever, who has a dog, okay? It's the same thing as having a baby and just keeping little toys off the ground that are choking hazards, okay? But also that I get to see this and know that this has come out of him. Because that's the end piece of the bone, you know? Unless he ate the other end of the bone, any other pieces, well, they're probably at least smaller in diameter, but they could be like long, sharp shards as well. So I just don't know, and I really won't be able to until time goes by, which is crazy. Okay. Well, there you go. I did not overreact, and I knew it. Last night, my mom got so upset with me for hitting Dante afterward, you know? And The degree of how much you hit the dog or how much you discipline them, that's an individualistic thing. Where's the borderline on abuse versus punishment, or, you know, abuse versus teaching, you know, abuse versus training? Well, that's an individualistic standpoint for both human being children and human beings dogs that are domesticated, or whatever it is, okay? But I will say this, I can't make it up at this point how damaging this can potentially be. That is a big piece and very sharp. I mean, the tip of it right there with my dirty fingernails, I understand they're dirty, but the tip of that is very sharp. And this part here as well is very sharp. Okay, I know that maybe I'm not filming it exactly centered in the camera lens, but that's the only reason he threw up. I mean, there's just about nothing else there. He was just trying to get that out of him. And if he didn't swallow it in the first place, he wouldn't have had to throw it up. I mean, look, I know I showed it, but I just want to make a point. Like, it's about the size of his nose. Dante's a standard poodle. He's 20 inches, maybe about 21 inches tall at the withers. This is about the size of his nose. Sharp piece of bone. Trying to travel through his whole body just to come out the other end. I'm gonna go show it to my mom. I can show her this video as well if she wants to watch it, but she was just pretty upset with how sternly I punished him for it. But I know the repercussions, okay? So, anyway. That's the thing. I speak on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, extremely harsh and bold. Under In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, anywhere under any four sides of In The Image Clothing Company. Just me, Evan Strong, in my daily life. I know, I get it. You know, I say some things that people probably wonder why I'm so worked up about. Well, there's context behind why I say what I say, why I approach things the way I do. Okay. So this is a good example of that. Why I reacted so harsh last night when he ate this chicken bone out of the garbage can.